Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the WCW Saturday Night Review Series. This is the review for the 10/26/91 WCW Saturday Night. Not a standalone awesome show or anything, but still a build to the post Halloween Havoc time and an interesting run in the sense of the nature of kind of building towards, I guess, the beginning of Halloween Havoc, although the Clash of the Champions thing, much bigger deal here at the time. Anyway, Van Hammer defeating Bill Ford, and Van Hammer, they're still trying really, really hard with Van Hammer at the time. Didn't exactly work out the way they intended, probably wouldn't in terms of a continual run there, but certainly I guess you'd say, a decent enough run, as it were, and continuing to be something of a kind of a note. Obviously, Van Hammer coming in, Bill Ford, just an enhancement talent. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but punch kick, super basic stuff. The slingshot suplex and Van Hammer in control. Hype for Halloween Havoc Control Center, so Halloween Havoc must be happening. I believe this particular weekend, right before obviously Halloween. Gordon Soley, the old Florida and Georgia voice, big deal here, and Soley, without a doubt, adding value to that. Beautiful Bobby Eaton and Terrence Taylor are here, going to be challenging in that role, and ultimately Ron Simmons promising the African American kids and all the kids in the area that he's going to win the championship from Lex Luger. Luger, of course, trying to get under his skin for being African American, something you could not do nearly, 30 years later, 35 years later, whatever we are, but certainly could be something you would do back then. Joey Maggs and Richard Morton, aka Ricky Morton, kind of here, not a super valuable match here. Mags kind of coming up with some arm drags, couple drop kicks under the chin. Morton, aka Richard Morton, a member of the York Foundation at the time, and I don't know that Ricky Morton ever really embodies being a heel well in national territory. May in Memphis. I don't know that I've ever seen any of his heel Memphis work. I know he did a little bit in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, although not enough to really make a informed, strong decision there either. But anyway, um, you know, head scissors, basic stuff, nothing too terribly aggressive by Morton here. Staying on and getting a decent enough and longer than average match out of Joey Maggs. Morton picks him up and tries to get even more out of it. Tries to choke the man over the top rope, and Morton manages to keep things going. Getting about 7 or 8 minutes out of that is a pretty big deal. Alexander York on the outside with the computer the whole time, and driving the man right into the canvas on the outside. Then we see a Barry Windham promo, basically talking about wanting to get rid of Anderson and Zbyszko. Windham in a leather jacket. Windham, if you think about it, here we are in October, was in the World Championship match at the Great American Bash in July, and already kind of back to tag team action here. Kind of an odd negative run. Anyway, hype for Big Man Vader coming into the territory. Vader, of course, a Japanese star, and they use Japanese footage to kind of bring him in. He manages to, um, you know, completely squash a couple of individuals. This is back when Vader had the headgear and was, I don't know, I guess you'd say a more fearsome looking adversary. And you got to remember, by summer '92, he's facing off with Sting. Jim Ross basically hyping Vader. Ross always good at the international overlay there. Also, some hype from last week's match with PN News, which doesn't really go terribly well. PN News and Steve Austin, not a great match there. Austin, of course, your television champion at the time, and managing to get into a more traditionalized match here with Mike Graham. Graham, certainly a good enough talent to draw something out of Austin, although at the time people probably not fans of that. And then, of course, we see a run as it was with, you know, kind of continuing to kind of be towards getting the match off the ground. Of course, Steve Austin with the highlights there, not exactly getting everything he wants out of that. Austin and Graham kind of just filling time. Steve Austin, though, bumping around like $1,000,000 as he is wont to do and continues to do going forward here in 1991. And Austin at this time, believe it or not, 91 to 94, even his 90 stuff I enjoy. But again, kind of the roll-ups with Austin. Austin bouncing around, still doing the Lady Blossom thing is still a thing, and Steve Austin certainly is a good little run there. Austin gets the shoulder tackles, and Mike Graham takes Austin down quite a bit, takes him down pretty simply, manages to drop the knee, and ultimately gets him round about a circle, and takes Austin's leg and thigh into the steel post. Doesn't get everything he wants on it. Austin, though, managing to wind up a member in the figure four. Austin finally does make a comeback. PN News out there. Big Josh, his tag team partner, not exactly a super tag team. Big Josh, they're still looking for something for him to do on a more consistent basis. Double team attempt by the Enhancement Talent tag team that is debutized with trying to take them around, and PN News with a double clothesline. News manages to get up and body slam his man pretty assertively there. PN News and Big Josh, Bob Cook, and Fred Avery is their opponents for the day, and as would want be expected, super basic run there, and ultimately, as my audio kicks on, kind of get a basic run of Big Josh and PN News' team. Big PN News still being pushed pretty heavily and kind of getting a run there as a guy that they wanted to push heavier. I don't know that he ever worked out the way that Dusty Rhodes had thought. I think they were going for like a Vanilla Ice feel. That didn't all come together. Big Josh, kind of certainly the more rings generalsman, and ultimately keeping that together. And I'm going to grab my phone. So we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail with more right after this. And again, from simplest form, what we really have here is a continuation of, like the Big Josh push, the PN News push, just a very basic, simple, for lack of a better term, time-killing thing. Bill Kazmar up next, and his is more of a, we bring him on because whoever's in charge of WCW at the time thinks it's a good idea. They didn't really have a long-term plan for him either, and also he did not acclimate to the wrestling world nearly as well as they imagined he would. His role there is, much a very, I don't want to say punch kick in general, but a very basic strongman character, which had worked in the 80s, and they probably figured could continue to work in the 90s, difference being that his all-American strongman thing, which he does pull off the gimmick of well enough, although it's not a long-term solution to what the company needs. But again, this is still the era of Hulk Hogan on the other channel, so Lou Fabrino is his opponent, and the basics of super simple body slams and the like are here. It continues to be a major deal, and going forward, we kind of see the continuation of things, and it's there. And then we see the enforcers, Zbyszko and Anderson, talking about the elimination of Rhodes and uh, none other than Anderson. So kind of the Freebirds going at it with Rhodes and Anderson. They are warring over the tag team championships, as it were. That is, I guess you'd say, decent enough. Although the tag team championships, I a little bit had slipped in. I don't know that important would be the right terminology, but it's certainly there. And again, um, there's highlights of that match. Nothing concrete as far as a clear finish. And again, Anderson and Zbyszko are your main focus there. The highlights of that match basically do indicate that the Freebirds, who had been a major indicator, are less important than they used to be. Judy Martin and Bambi up next, basically trying to give a platform for Medusa to have other women to wrestle. That's the main focus of them being on television here. Bambi, hits Judy Martin with a couple of shots. Bambi with harder forearms. Different by the standard of WWF women's wrestling at the time, which, for the record, after the 1990, 89-90 Rockin' Robin deal with Judy Martin, had all but been eliminated. Women in the 90s, certainly not a major run. Small package by Bambi, trying to get things going. A snap suplex by Judy Martin. If you look at the match, actually, from the standpoint of today's women's wrestling, I think Bambi could have fit in. I think Judy Martin could have fit in even with today's women, although their match is much more formulaic, much more basic than before. Then we see Bambi off the ropes, hits the Bulldog, and off we go. Medusa basically says she's going to kick tail, using language I can't use on this channel, but she promises to be the most fearsome woman in WCW. I don't know that she was ever brought in to be a full-time wrestler. I don't imagine so, because there wasn't full-time wrestling to be done by women at that time in WCW or anywhere in the U.S. for that matter. LPWA, I think, had been tried but did not work out. Johnny B. Bad up next with a very basic walk up the ropes by an opponent. Johnny B. Bad does not manage to get everything going the way he wants. Gets a suplex on his adversary, which happens to be none other than the Rex King. Rex King does not inspire a great deal of confidence. Johnny B. Bad, in a short match with him, does not get everything he needs to get done, but does manage to get things under his control in a pretty basic run. And Johnny B. Bad again. The inverted sunset flip, among other maneuvers, leading Johnny B to be, no pun intended, a pretty aggressive guy here. Gets the cross body, and Teddy Long still has a good investment in him. I think he just came in a couple of months before, if even that long, to be honest, getting him ready for Halloween Havoc, and again hits the knockout punch. Johnny B. Bad does have good moves at the time, did not have a lot of, obviously, wrestling psychology. The Young Pistols out here, Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong, managing to be as connected as they can be. Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker and I believe James Earl Wright, State Patrol, is here. They are the main adversaries for them at the time. And actually, no, one half of the State Patrol in Parker is the adversary alongside his, I guess you say, golden run in the Tracy's Mother, Steve Armstrong, defeating Rick Caddis and Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. Again, the Young Pistols tag team still good enough to get a good run there going, but they, I don't think, have done the full heel turn here yet. heel turn soon to come. And again, that kind of is there. They work together as a good tag team, and they end up going full at it. Final match of the day: Cactus Jack and Abdullah the Butcher defeating the U.S. Tag Team Champions, or U.S. Champion, sorry, Sting and Bobby Eaton via disqualification. Finish is messed up when Kazmaier, who's supposed to make the save after the match, interfered before Eaton is pinned. So that can't be good for his future runnings. And of course, the continual Cactus Jack and Sting story continues. Also continuing is the Abdullah the Butcher being unstable situation, and right on the heels of the run for Halloween Havoc. Bobby Eaton still a major babyface at the time, going heads up with Abdullah the Butcher in a brawl situation. Not exactly good, as Abdullah takes over on him pretty simply and effectively, although maybe not in the best of situations, as they kind of brawl around on a continual basis. Eaton tries a monkey flip, does not get all he wants on that. Abdullah rains down punches that I won't say look weak, but they look suspect, maybe would be a better word. Anyway, Bobby Eaton eventually comes back up, gets hit, and is brawling with Cactus Jack. Needless to say, Cactus is not a guy that you want to have a guy be brawling with on a continual basis. Also, needless to say, there's a continual nature to everything here, and Bobby Eaton manages to get a back elbow or two along the way. Cactus Jack then manages to toss Eaton to the outside, and continuation of the shots. Sting and Cactus finally square off. Sting had been doing had been receiving the deliveries of the packages from Cactus at the time. Abdullah part of that. That had been continuing to be a storyline, and Bill Kazmaier runs in at the last minute late, and disqualification win for the heels, and that doesn't go according to plan. But we'll be back with more right after this.